Hi, Purnama. Very nice to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Pleasure. We're going to talk a lot about Bali and your mission in life and your different activities. Why don't we start with who you are and what you do? What's your mission in this world?
My name is Purnama, and I'm a musician, singer-songwriter, and also a guide for Balinese culture, for Indigenous wisdom, and for Vedic philosophy. And I would say mainly my mission is to bring people back home to their hearts, back home to their roots. Because we live in a world that is very fast-paced, where we are going towards a goal that we don't really know what it is. And yeah, just inviting people to come into more intention, come back to their hearts, and come back to the ancient wisdom that is part of this world, that is part of the ancient cultures, and take in the world with more presence and more awareness for each other, for Mother Nature, and for ourselves.
Yeah. I've read in one of your posts that a big part of you come from a lineage of temple holders and ceremonialists.
Yeah.
And you're spending a lot of your energy and life into basically doing this for other people, into helping other people opening up. Was that a calling that was always part of your life, or it happened or it developed at some point?
Yeah, definitely it developed. It wasn't there from the beginning. Yeah. I also feel because in the beginning I was very distracted by this outside noise from the world. I grew up in Switzerland most of my life, and my mother, she was very, she really wanted us to adapt to this Western culture and to be part of that and to be successful in the terms of the capitalist and the Western world, which meant, going to university, making a lot of money. And so the first part of my life, I was trying to fulfill that, to be a good daughter. Like many Asian parents are like, yeah, you have to become a doctor or an engineer. And my mom was like that too.
It's the same in Italy, by the way. Yeah. It's the same. We're laughing because it's the same.
And I became increasingly more depressed. I really lost my vitality. I lost my joy for life. And also going to business school, like realizing that the system of the world is not designed for us to be holistic and to take care of each other, but it's designed to extract the resources of the world. It's designed to go for endless growth. But endless growth is not possible on a planet with finite resources. And realizing all of that, I had to drop out of school. I dropped out of college, and for a while, I was just, doing nothing and healing, which for me is in my capitalist worldview that I grew up with, and especially with the Swiss, in the Swiss, like they're always doing something. For me, it was very hard to do in the beginning, like to do nothing.
You're going against your family beliefs, essentially.
Yes, yeah, totally. And to just allow the guidance to come through, because the guidance cannot come through if we're always busy and always like distracting ourselves. And in those moments was actually when I heard the calling to come back to Bali. I was deep in the Amazon jungle, and then I was just, became very clear, like I had to come back and learn again the ways of my ancestors, learn the ways of Bali. And that was the first thing that I did. Like, it was just that. It was just go back to Bali and learn the ways of the ancestors.
I'm very curious, before we go into the rest of the story, into what was the catalyst for that? So it seems your environment was teaching you one way, which was let's call it the Swiss way, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And that's what you had visible. But something in you, or something maybe you saw outside, told you this is not necessarily the way that resonates with you. What was that? Was it maybe your father and his lineage and his background, or it was something more internal to you?
Yeah. I just want to clarify, it's my mom's lineage. My mom is the Balinese.
Your mom is Balinese, yeah.
Yeah, totally. My dad is Swiss.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mom, like, she wanted to adapt to the world of her husband, and also like feeling as she came from a third world country and coming to a world that is like more developed and that seems to be more successful, that seems to be more abundant.
Got it.
And wanting to adapt to that. But the catalyst was for me, I feel like it's something that was always there, it was always within me, but it needed to come through in a period of connecting with the indigenous wisdoms of other lands. So I was in Bolivia and in Peru. And there, the indigenous people are still very present, especially in Bolivia. And in Peru, I was living in the Amazon jungle, and I was spending a lot of time with indigenous people there and with the jungle itself. Like, I was just in the middle of the Amazon rainforest. And I feel that was the catalyst for me, like, just to come back to nature, and come back to what is really important in life, which is not becoming the most successful person in the world per capitalist lifestyle, but it is to be in harmony with the world around us.
Yes. And then you took the trip after you decided to take a moment of break, or that was before? Yeah, after.
Yeah, it was after.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you took a trip in Peru, Bolivia. Then you understood, you felt the calling.
Yeah.
And what happened after? You went back to Switzerland?
Yeah, I went back to Switzerland first, and everyone told me, you're going crazy, And then I was like, maybe they're right. I went back to university for 6 months, and just the whole thing crashed down on me again. Like, I became depressed again. And then I just knew for certain, like, okay, I tried this. I tried now a second time to do what the people around me tell me to do. And it was like my mental well-being was just going downhill. And in that moment, it became really clear to me, like, I just have to follow this calling. I have to go back to Bali, even though my family is not supporting that. And the people around me tell me, no, you have this opportunity of getting first-class Swiss education, and you're throwing it away. But I just knew in my heart, especially after that second experience of trying it again, that I had to do what my heart tells me to do. So I gave everything up in Switzerland. I sold all my belongings and I moved to Bali.
Got it. Okay. And that was the 7-8 years ago when you actually moved to Bali. Yeah, got it. And you have been in Bali as a base since.
Yes, I have been here ever since.
Yeah. And let's talk about Bali. So you felt your motherland in a way was, even though you were born in Switzerland, called you.
Yeah.
Had you been to Bali at that point already?
Yes. I went to school here when I was a child for 3 years. So I've been here before. My family came here very often as well. So I'm familiar, like, I speak the language. I'm familiar to the ways of life. And, it's part of my blood. It's part of my DNA. So it did feel a lot like coming home.
Yes. And you felt coming home, and you arrived here. One of your purposes was to not behave as a European in Bali, meaning that you also had to adapt into the Balinese economy and system. So can you tell us more about, like, what was the adaptation when you came here? What was different from living in Switzerland to moving to Bali? What was the life like at that point?
Yeah. So the first time that I arrived to Bali, I tried to adapt as much as possible to the Balinese lifestyle. And so that means I was teaching yoga in that time, and I was giving English classes to the local children, and I would ask for the same, like, the salary that I would ask for was like a Balinese salary, what people here earn. And it's like, usually it's around 3 million a month that people earn here. That's about 150 euros.
Yeah.
So
crazy now to think about it from a European perspective.
Absolutely, like 150 euros. It's
in a month.
Yeah, it's not much, but the people here, they live well on that salary because often they don't have to pay rent, which was in my case the same. I was living in my mother's house. I was eating very cheap. I was eating local food, from the local warung, or cooking myself. But I realized that there is a very big gap between the Balinese and the Western society here in Bali. So I was making a lot of international friends because also at my base, I am a world citizen. I've seen a lot of different places around the world, and I connected a lot with the global community here in Bali. But I felt very cut off from the way of life that they had. So I always felt I didn't have the same means and the resources that they had to partake in their social life. So I always had to look out for like free events or events where I was able to pay a donation as a Balinese. So I would say I'm Balinese, and then they gave me a special price. But it's not a nice way, actually, when you have to go and like ask for a discount, ask for like lower prices. And at some point I decided to focus on my music career. Mm-hmm. The audience there was also more like the global community. Focus more on teaching Balinese culture to them. As I also realized, like many people come here, they have no idea about the Balinese way of life, you know? Yeah. They've been living here 7 years, they still don't know how to do a Balinese prayer. And I was very shocked by that and started to offer Balinese culture classes. And I put all my focus, I was like, I'm gonna create abundance for myself and also for my Balinese family in that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned that at the very start of this journey, you thought, okay, I want to adapt more to the Balinese, let's say, economic or way of earning money. And then you realize I want to find an in-between that works for you, that creates abundance and allows you to continue your mission while you have enough money to actually support yourself and your family. Yeah. At any point, did you feel a split between these two things? That was a hard thing to...
Absolutely. Yeah, I felt the more that I was going into that direction, like putting my focus on my music career and on being part of the expat culture, I had less time to take part in the Balinese ceremonies, less time to spend with my Balinese family. And I really felt the split then at that point. Because also the Balinese, the Western society that lives here in Bali, they're not very aware of, for example, Balinese holidays and like that. And the Balinese have so many ceremonies. Like, it's almost like a full-time job. You know, when you're Balinese, it's a full-time job to go to the ceremonies, go to the weddings, go to the rites of passages and everything. And I felt myself not being able to fulfill duties as a Balinese person anymore because I was so getting more and more involved in the global community in Bali. Mm-hmm.
So you had two forces that were pulling you, a bit of the getting involved into the expat community, also helping them getting closer to the culture, but also that would take a lot of energy and time out from you being involved with the Balinese culture. Mm-hmm. And looking back at this journey over 8 years, do you feel that you have a bit more harmony between these two sides of you right now?
Right now, I'm at the point that I am very lucky and feel very blessed that after years of hard work, I am now able to like live well and I'm coming to a point where I feel like I can have a bit more free time and use that free time again to volunteer and to offer that to the Balinese community. What I did in the past is, for example, I did women's circles for local women, and I would love to do that again. And also take more part in the Balinese community. Yeah. So I'm praying for like this balance between both and striving for that, and wanting to spend more time with Balinese mentors as well, Balinese priests. And thanks to all the people that come to my ceremonies, that ask me to do something in their retreat. I'm going to be able to do more of that. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's a process. I mean, these things take a lot of years. Like you have to figure out ways to make it work sustainably. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more about Bali. There's two sides that I want to touch on, which is one is the cultural side, where you are an expert and you come from here, you live here. And then we're going to talk later about the challenges, big important topic. But maybe let's start with the culture of Bali. We're here in this beautiful place. It's a gorgeous place. There's a lot of things that are very different from Europe in terms of culture, religion, religious credo, and spirituality. What do you think are traditions and maybe ideas that are important for someone to understand if they're looking to understand more about the Balinese culture?
The Balinese culture is a very collectivist society. Community here is very strong. So people in Bali, you know, when you come here and you stay with a Balinese family, you become part of their family. And they really take care of each other. And I find that is a very beautiful thing that we as people coming from the West can learn in how to live together as a community in peace and in harmony. For example, you will see in a Balinese compound, there is so many people living together, like nieces and nephews and grandmother, grandfather, aunt, uncle. And to live together like that and to not go crazy, you have to become very open and very tolerant of each other and of the differences that you have. And I feel in the West, sometimes we're too focused on our own needs and our own boundaries, which is beautiful as well. You know, I feel sometimes as Balinese people, we can also learn that. We can learn a bit more about boundaries. And but still, I think this way of, you know, seeing everything as one and putting the needs of the community and the needs of the family high in your heart.
Before the one of the individual. Yeah.
Yeah, it can help us to create a more harmonious world. Yeah, so there's a lot that we can learn from the Balinese society.
And I've also appreciated we're staying in a flat where we are right now that is run by a Balinese family, and yesterday and today is Ganungan, and I've learned to appreciate that a lot of people have private temples. So they have these temples that are dedicated there for the entire family to go and reunite in prayer. Is that something that is common for every family in Bali across? Yes.
Yeah, so we all have our own family temple in the house, in the compound.
What is the function of the private temple for a family?
The private temple is a place that we use to, for example, connect with the ancestors for ancestor worship. We have a big altar there that is dedicated to the ancestors. We have an altar that is dedicated to the sun, dedicated to the moon, and so on. So it's a place where we can ask for protection, ask for guidance, and yes, the spiritual center, you could say, of the family and of the compound. So as, for example, as individuals, we have perhaps, like, if we are seeing ourselves as spiritual people, we have an altar at home, like on the table. It's the same principle as that, but much bigger. Yeah.
So it's connection to ancestors and also with gods?
Yeah, with the
forces
divine.
Of nature, with the divine in general.
And also with spirits. So there's also usually a shrine that is asking for protection. And because in Bali we don't only give offerings to the divine, but we also give offerings to lower spirits. And as a way of like being aware that they exist.
Yeah.
That the veil here is very thin between the worlds, between the spiritual world and the material world. And also asking to live together in harmony with them, for them to not cause any mischief or any sicknesses in our world.
Yeah. And that's also the function of the offerings that we see every day, everywhere in Bali.
Yes. Yeah.
Typically.
Some are for the higher spirits, so it's a way of paying our respects to them, connecting with them and receiving their guidance. And then some that you see on the floor or on those shrines that are for the lower spirits, they're for the more dense energies. And on asking to live together in harmony, asking for a balance.
Got it. And as a system of the divine and the spirits, so we, in Balinese culture in the belief system, you have gods, which are the divine. Then you have nature. Is nature also part of that? So is nature seen as a force in a way?
Yes, absolutely.
And then when you say the lower spirit, this is spirits that belong to different entities that are not divine. That's the idea of the spirits. And then ancestors is predecessors, human predecessors that have passed.
Yeah. In the end, it's all one. You know, like if you see the whole thing, it's all coming from one. But in our world, that, for example, in the Vedas, we call this world Prakriti, which is the physical world. They divide themselves into different energies. And some of these energies can be more dense, can be more lower and heavy energies. And some energies can be more light. And so
Light as a, what is the difference between heavy and light? Heavy, it's a connotation for good and bad, or it's a connotation for just divine or less divine?
I don't like the words good and bad because like as humans, we quickly like label something as good or bad, and then we create stories.
Yeah.
And in our mind. And if you look at other indigenous cultures around the world, like they also have this belief that like, it's like the tree of life. The tree of life has roots that grow deep down into the earth. And we need that as well. Like we need our roots to grow deep. And then we have the branches that reach up to the sky, and the branches are like more higher and upper energy, but we need to acknowledge it all to be balanced and to be wholesome. So as humans also, we need to acknowledge our shadows. A human that doesn't acknowledge the shadows and that doesn't want to look at its dark sides can also not become whole. So it's a way of acknowledging that and looking for how we can create wholeness out of it.
Yeah.
Which is also something that I've learned with my depression that I've mentioned earlier. It was not by pushing it away and by trying to be happy all the time, and to be joyful. Like that's not how we as humans can become whole, but it's to see like, how can I become friends with it? And for it to not take over my world, but for it, and maybe it has a teaching for me, like for example, for me, it has taught me to take it slow and take rests. So seeing the shadow more as that, like acknowledging it, and how can it be a teacher instead of like pushing it away and not wanting to look at it at all and just be happy and merry and light.
Yeah, we would not have branches if there were no roots.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want to touch on your personal story, but just to conclude the part on the spirits. So you said heavy spirits and light spirits. So this is just a matter of saying lighter spirits, meaning higher up in the divine realm?
Yeah.
Okay. And you were saying that so it's all part of the whole, of the same, and you have different entities that play different roles as well.
Exactly.
For the culture, yes. In the offering, to go back to Balinese culture, the offering that everybody does every day are meant for ancestors or for spirits or for gods, right? Yeah. With different functions. That could be to pay an homage, or they can be for ask for protection or abundance, prayer.
Exactly, you got it.
Yeah. And I was interested also in the concept of I want to have the name right, Hita Karana. Yeah. Can you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, so Tri is three. Hita Karana. Karana is the causes for well-being, Hita. And so it's an ancient Balinese belief that has been brought up again in the 60s. That people were like, oh, look, this is from our ancient beliefs. We should actually live by it. And so it means that as humans, in order for us to be harmonious and to live well with each other, we have to take care of three things. So the first one is to live in harmony with nature, taking care of nature, because nature feeds us and sustains us. Like we wouldn't be alive without nature. Like literally all our food comes from nature. The air that we breathe, the grounding that we receive, the shelter that we can build. So in Balinese culture, if you look at our ancestors, they have really lived in complete harmony with nature. Like the whole house, like everything was built of sustainable materials. Everything was biodegradable. Like mostly things were used out of banana leaves. There was no plastic at all that you could just throw into nature and it would decompose. And also the rice fields, like the subaks that we have, the waterways in the rice fields, they're recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage because of how well they function with each other and how they use the water in a really sustainable way.
Because the water is reused.
Exactly. Yeah, it's reused. So it's a world-renowned water irrigation system. Then the second, we have living in harmony with the people around us, living in harmony with each other, which also is what I mentioned earlier, with the community. Like people here are really taking care of each other, are taking care of the neighbors. Yeah. If someone passes away, then the community comes together. They sleep in the house of the family where the person has passed away, to take care that no heavy spirits can come. And yeah, they're just really here for each other. And I feel that the Balinese people have like really nailed until this day.
Yeah.
You know, about the living in harmony with nature. I feel we need now to catch up.
Yes, I want to talk a lot about that. But yeah.
But living in harmony with each other and with the community, like here, this is the place where we can really learn that. And then the third one is living in harmony with God. And with that, I also see the divine in ourselves. Like, how can we create, how can we have a relationship with the divine, a relationship with the God in us, with the God within and the God around, which is also something that for me, myself, has caused this depression when I was like living too much in the material world and not recognizing that there is a spirit in all, and cultivating this relationship with divine, with the creator, the source of all that is. And so the Balinese believe that when when Tri Hita Karana is present, then we can become whole as humans, that we can live in harmony with ourselves and with all that is around us. And for me, it makes a lot of sense. And I think it's a very beautiful philosophy that, here in Bali, especially for the first point, living together in harmony with nature, we really need to become present with again.
Yeah, we escape the illusion of separation.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, that's very beautifully said.
Yeah. It's super interesting in terms of for me as a European to have to get closer to this belief and also feel these things, because it's not so, as you know really well, it's like not a lot part of the culture.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't know, 5% of the people now in 2025 talk about these things, but the rest of the system is actually going like nobody would believe in. We think we say we care about nature because of climate change, because of climate disaster incoming, but people really don't care so much. You know, they appreciate it, but they don't care so much. They don't feel connected. That's a better idea. It's like a separated thing that is there, that you just walk through, but it's not really part of who we are.
Yeah.
It's a huge concept. I think it's a huge shift in our perception of how we live life as humans, to think about us as part of a bigger system, but as the system itself with everything that exists. As compared to us, then there is nature, then there is animals, then there is, I don't know, forces. It's a really interesting thing. And in your upbringing, you mentioned a couple of times depression, your depressive episodes. Was that a catalyst to help you get closer to these beliefs, to feel these things differently?
Yeah, absolutely. Because for me, I was finding ways on how I can heal my spirit, heal my mind, because it's also something that, you know, comes from the mind. It's like these thoughts that try to pull us down. Like, I would say that depression is like something that is like, coming from the mind, trying to make ourselves small. And when I was looking for ways of how I can transmute that and how I can heal that, Vedic philosophy and indigenous wisdom has really helped me a lot, because it teaches you you are part of something greater. You are not just this body and this individual, but you are part of it all. You're part of the web of life. And that really helped me to more and more come into this knowledge and step into my power and step into my dharma, also step into my path, and receiving the strength from that as well. So a lot of strength that I received was when I returned on the spiritual path, and whereas previously I've cut myself off from the divine and from the creator, and knowing that that we can receive strength and guidance from things around us. We are not alone. You know, often we think that we have to do everything by ourselves and we are alone in this world. But when we can connect ourselves again with our ancestors and open ourselves to the guidance, we know that we have the strength of all those who have come before us. We have the strength of the universe, of nature, and we're not alone.
It's beautiful you said I had disconnected. You found yourself cut off of that.
Yeah.
Which was before your reconnection. What do you think cut you off or made you feel cut off from everything that exists in the first place?
Yeah. Mainly it was confusion. Like I was very confused growing up with two completely different religions. That one taught me that there's hundreds of gods and they have like these and these names.
From your mother's side.
Yeah. And then when I was 10 years old, we moved back to Switzerland. So I was like spending 3 years in Bali, like going to the temple and praying and all of that, being with my family here. And then when I was 10, I went back to Switzerland and I was forced to do the, how you call it again, the confirmation, because my dad is Protestant, evangelic Protestant. And I had to go to church and take classes. And, you know, I love the New Testament and I love what Jesus teaches in the New Testament. And I believe that all religions come from one, they all come from one source. But the way how it was taught, you know, that God is like up in the sky and he's like looking down on us and like punishing us if we do something wrong. Yeah. And also when I learned about what the church has done in the past, what the Christian church did, you know, like the missionaries and like even like Catholic and evangelic church, like fighting each other and like killing each other. For me, that was very like not in line to what Jesus taught, was not in line to harmony, you know, living in harmony with each other. And I decided to denounce all religion. I thought that religion just inherently is bad and causes people to, you know, judge each other and like say, oh, you're not my religion, so you are a bad person because you don't believe in the same God that I do.
Separation again.
Exactly. It creates a lot of separation. So I decided to denounce that. And also I became very much scientific. Like I only wanted to believe in things that science could prove. So I became a science nerd in some ways. And yeah, and also the material world around me that I was in at that time as a teenager, you know, in Switzerland, like also many people around me also didn't believe in God. Like there was no spirituality outside of the church. So naturally I found, I am an atheist now and I labeled myself as that.
Yeah, and then, so that was, you realized that you were disconnected because of the environment around you.
Yes.
And then going back to Bali, you know, was your reconnection to the whole, did it happen when you were still in Switzerland or when you came back to Bali?
It happened when I was in South America.
South America, okay.
Yeah, when I came back
yes,
to...
okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, being around Indigenous culture again and seeing like their ways. And yeah, I had many realizations that came through. Like, for example, the offerings that we do every day in Bali. When I was a child, I thought it's a burden. Like, why do you do that? You know, it's so much work. But then in South America, I just had like this moment of when I was seeing the Indigenous people there, like doing their offering. I was like, wow, we do this too in Bali, but on a daily basis. And I started to realize, you know, we give offerings to everything. We don't only give offerings to a great goddess in the sky, but we give offerings to the trees and to the rivers, and because God is in everything.
It's a very different approach, like feeling it's a burden.
Yeah.
It's a daily burden.
Definitely.
And it's very different thing. And it's something for everything, for God, for the divine nature.
It's like giving thanks in the end, you know? When we give offerings, we give thanks to life. We give thanks to the forces that sustain us. And that also, for me, was a big cure. Like in my depression, you know, that is like coming from a victim place of why me? Why so many bad things happening to me, to wow, I'm so grateful I'm alive. Thank you for this tree. Thank you for the river. Thank you for the waters. Thank you for the sun, you know, coming, like shifting from a place of lack, of thinking we're lacking something. And that is also why we're always striving for things, because we're like, oh, I need to do this milestone and this milestone so I can be fulfilled and happy, to a place of, I already have everything I have.
Yeah.
Everything I need, you know, and giving thanks for the things that we already have.
Yeah, it's a big shift also in the way you perceive the world itself.
Exactly.
Right? Yes.
Yes.
And you mentioned depression. When did you have, was that one episode, one period of your life, or it happened multiple times?
I think it's something that runs in the family, that I believe it's something that I've had in me for a long time, but that became stronger in my teenage years when I was going through a really difficult time with my family. And then also when my father passed away when I was 18, then it just flared up. And also the feeling lost, the feeling, the disconnection from source and not knowing what to do with my life, like just being like in this career that I didn't choose, that I did to, look like I am successful. And so I feel there it really flared up and it became evident at one point that I just had to acknowledge okay, I am not doing well. I am actually feeling terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the unluck, there was some luck because that helped you too.
Absolutely. One of my teachers, she says, fortunate or unfortunate, let's wait and see. You cannot judge if a situation is unfortunate. Just wait and see where it goes. It's just take everything as it comes and just wait and see where it goes. Don't judge the situation. And for me, I had many of those things that you could say, oh, that's very unfortunate. But actually the outcome, it led me to somewhere that made me feel more whole and more, in harmony.
To where you are, and this is common also with Stoic philosophy. I don't know if you know much about the Stoic philosophy, but it's also, that's one of the biggest credo, things don't happen, they're not personal to you, even the misfortunes, but you can always make something out of it. And,
exactly.
And it's post-traumatic growth in a way that you have a trauma, you have a bad episode, and that helps you really get better and improve and grow as a person.
Absolutely.
Yes. Before we go deeper into your story and your mission, why don't we talk about Bali and the challenges related with, in the latest years, Bali has attracted a lot of expats, foreigners, from people who come here for holidays, people who come here to spend a big part of the year, to even people who come to invest. This has benefited Bali to some degree. Economically, has made Bali growth, has made a lot of people more wealthy, more able to take care of their families. Flip side, there's a lot of downsides. Big one is the unsustainability of prices. Prices have skyrocketed from housing to the price of food, of going to events. It's very different than what it used to be, and is to some degree very unsustainable for the nature. So the infrastructure is not there. Traffic, water problems, floods. 2 months ago, there were huge floods in Bali. Can you tell us what are the key problems that you have experienced as a person who is from Bali and who's lived there for so long? What are the biggest things? What is the impact that this has on nature and people?
Yeah, I think the biggest impact that it has is the unplanned, the development that is without proper planning, without proper permits. For example, there's a lot of corruption in our government, and there's zones that are supposed to be not built on, that are green zones, that should stay in nature because we need nature. We have heavy rains in Bali, so we need those waterways, we need the rice fields, we need the forests to soak up the water so we don't have the banjir, we say, so we don't experience floods. But corruption and the lack of overview has led to permits being given when they shouldn't have been given, you can see there's literally maps online where you can search green zones Bali, where it shows you which zones are supposed to not be built, and you see that there's buildings there.
There's a villa, right?
Yeah, there's a villa or huge projects. There was this huge project here in Ubud that was called Park. And there was a big scandal a few months ago because apparently it was not with proper permits. And then they were saying, there was a whole back and forth, they were saying, oh, it needs to be teared down, but it has already been built, And also in Bingin, they were saying in Bingin Beach in Uluwatu that there's been many buildings there without proper permits. And then they went on to destroy them, but then all the waste, all the bricks, the debris of the buildings are now going to the ocean and destroying coral reefs. So I think that is the main problem that we have is, development is okay to some point. We as people that live here in Bali, we receive a lot of benefits from that. Like, for example, we have now, instead of just Balinese food, we can enjoy Italian food and we can enjoy sushi and all of that. We have beautiful yoga centers and all of that. But it has to come with regulations. It cannot go uncontrolled as it's going right now.
Yes. I think I came across your profile the first time for your post, Bali is not for sale, a few months ago.
Yeah.
And you explain a lot of this problem by taking an example of a person, you know, one of your acquaintances or friends who is a foreigner who, you know, classic identity crisis or life shifting in the place where they were living. They decided to give up a lot of their job and then invest in a property in Bali.
Yeah.
What is the issue for someone who is thinking about Bali, a foreigner who's thinking about Bali as an investment opportunity? They're thinking about that to generate passive income. What is something you wish they would consider more?
I wish that these people that treat Bali as a way of making money for themselves, like to consider more the impact that it has on the life of locals. Maybe before you come here and do an investment and like trying for it to sustain your life, walk a bit in the shoes of a local. Learn more about their lives, learn more about the local culture, and become aware that, as we said earlier, the local salary is an average of 150 euros a month. And who are we that we can come here and ask for 10 times more? And also knowing where is this privilege coming from that we have. Like, no Balinese could do the same in Europe. Like, it's so hard for Balinese people even to travel to Europe, you know? The visa requirements are ridiculous. It's so hard. And then even when all the visa requirements are fulfilled, I had Indonesian friends that still got turned down. They still didn't receive a visa to travel to Europe. And like just becoming aware of this privilege that we have as Europeans and where it comes from, really.
Colonialism.
Exactly.
We were saying before.
Yeah, it's from colonialism, colonialist structures. And by doing those things, by coming here and investing and like with the hopes of making money, it's the same colonialist structures again. It's just a different form of colonialism, but it's still colonialism. Because as long as the Balinese people don't have the same means and the same ways, it's not balanced. The balance is not there.
Yeah. It seems that, again, in a structural system where you have foreigners, for lack of a better term, like general foreigners who have a better salary in their own countries, you have a government and specific people, let's say individuals in Bali that benefit from that. There's a lot of incentive for this thing to continue and never stop, right? So in theory, the government and some people in Bali would say, just rip this apart. I don't care about the water systems. Who cares, you know? Not my problem. I have a villa in a safe place. And it's very hard for the foreigner to even think about these things if they're not aware, they don't want to do their own research. For them, it's like one of the 10 options that they have to put their money. It's a beautiful place, warm most of the year. They just can come here. And even without a bad intention, they can find themselves in a way that they are exploiting. And like they keep exploring this. What do you think, counterexample? So if we go the other way, someone who wants to help locals, who want to have a neutral or even positive effect on the land and the people of Bali, coming from abroad for some months or for some weeks, how can they make this better? Yeah.
So my suggestion is that when you come to Bali and you want to come for a few weeks or months, try to stay as local as you can. Stay with local people, with Balinese people. Try to eat local, learn about the culture, learn about the language. Make an effort to, you know, learn like the real Bali. Because too many people come to Bali and they think that Balinese tradition is smoothies and ecstatic dance. But it's so much more than that. It's very deep and it's a treasure that we should protect because Bali has some of the keys and of the history that we have lost in other parts of the world, you know, about the devotion, about the family cultures and all of that. And we really need to protect this island. We need to protect the nature that we have here. And I feel like someone who sees the value of all of that wouldn't want to gentrify that and to bring more of the Western lifestyle here, because we already have that everywhere else in the world. Like if you want that, just go to other islands when you want to party and have your cocktails.
Yeah.
But what we have here is really unique, and I pray that more people can really see that and want to protect that.
And on the other side, what can a local do to make this better? So a local, and let's take an extreme situation, a person that has a land, they own a land, and they have the means to build a villa and rent it out to a tourist, an American tourist with a high salary, or a Swiss tourist, like people who have a very comparably much higher salary. And they're like, look, you know what? I want to be rich. Why not? Right? How can they rethink about it in a way that is more sustainable for their community of locals?
So my prayer is that local people, that the Balinese people, we can see the true wealth that we have here that is beyond the material. So same as my mother, that when she moved to Switzerland with my dad, that she thought that Switzerland is so much richer than Bali, but there's different kinds of wealth that we have here. What we have here is a spiritual wealth. It's the wealth of nature, of lush jungles, of foods that grow everywhere. And do we want to lose that? You know, if we just cater more and more to the Western lifestyle and make Bali more Western, we can lose the spiritual wealth and the cultural wealth that we have here. We can lose the land, the more gets built here, the less we can live off of the land. And Bali is such a lush and fertile land, and we risk of losing that when we build too much and have more floods and all of those natural disasters that we're just calling in. And what is the kind of Bali that we want to pass down to our children? Do we want our children and the future Balinese generations to just become servants of Western people and to become drivers and waitresses? Or do we want them to become empowered and know their heritage and be proud of that? Like, I really hope that more Balinese people can really be proud of our culture and of our legacy and wanting to protect that.
I think, yes, very important. The challenge, and I think this applies to both the locals and the foreigners, is that you need to give up some sort of individual privilege or benefit, let's call it benefit, in favor of future self and future communities. That even thinking about generations, I think very few people really can think about, okay, do I want to give up my smoothie or my convenience for future generation of the entire community? Super hard to do it.
Yeah, it is hard because we are taught that we should create richness for ourselves. Like, we live in a world that glorifies being rich, for example, in the way that billionaires are like, oh wow, they're like so successful. But what is true success? Is it like I see true success in being happy. And I also had this conversation before that they were saying, I see so much misery. Like, I had a person that told me, I see a lot of misery in the countries that have these philosophies of Vedic and Indigenous, like, they're poor. And in Europe, people are rich. But then often these countries that are so said rich have often the highest suicide rate, whereas countries that are not as abundant in material wealth have the strongest families, have the strongest communities, and that in turn also creates happiness. So I would love us to reevaluate what abundance and wealth means, and that we don't have to strive for material wealth because it's passing. It's not the things that we take with us in the afterlife, and of course a lot of comfort can come with it, and it's beautiful when you don't have to think about money so much. Like I myself also had to strive at one point, like to create more financial abundance for myself so that I can give more back. And it's beautiful when we have that, but it shouldn't come with the price of losing nature.
Very difficult for the reason you just explained. We grew up, like if you have access to internet, the glorification of wealth currently, and of things that are related to wealth. For example, anything from until some time ago, having a private jet or flying a private jet was like one of the highest achievements one can do. Now it's changed because of climate change, so there is a lot of public opinion on that. But still, if you're the person who's taking a picture on hotel, at the top of a hotel, sipping a very expensive cocktail in a clear or presumably expensive place, it's still, for most people, more appreciated than you being with your family, taking a picture with you and your grandmother at home, right?
Totally.
And this relates also then, there is greed that is attached to that. Do you think is the greed that is causing this, the human?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a universal condition that we as humans, because it's not only a thing that we see in Bali, like as we talked earlier, it's a phenomenon that we see in many other parts of the world, and it's people prioritizing money over the well-being of the people around, seeing the profit, putting the profit higher than taking care of the environment and taking care of other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You spoke a lot on social media about greed.
Yeah.
It's a problem that I think it's human, right? Mm-hmm. What has been your experience, direct or indirect, with greed? And how do you live when you see a person that, or a behavior that has greed underlying? What is a solution for someone who understands, becomes aware, okay, I'm acting in a way that is out of greed. How do I get out of that?
Yeah. I have my own experiences with that as well, because spending my teenage life and my young adult life in Europe, you automatically start to see, how can I make the most out of this situation? How can I make more money for myself, and wanting to accumulate it? And it's often coming from a place of lack, of thinking that I need this money so I can feel better, so I can have, more bolster. And it changed when I learned more about the principle of Aini, of sacred reciprocity from the Andean culture, that, the more that you give, the more you receive as well. So it's not by holding things that you can receive more, which with more, I mean more love, more peace, more harmony, not only more money, but it's actually by giving, by learning to be in sacred reciprocity. And I've learned a lot, when I started to give my money to certain causes, and also in Bali, we have that a lot, the salaries that we earn in Bali doesn't stay with us. Often half of it goes towards offerings. It goes to ceremonies, because ceremonies are very expensive and offerings are also very expensive. And I feel that that's a way of learning that we shouldn't hold on to money, that it should stay in flow. And I learned a lot by paying it forward, by giving more of my money to other people that are in need, to giving it to projects that are doing great things for our planet. And that can be a good, antidote to greed, is how can I actually use my money and give it to good causes. And also learning to be satisfied with what we have. That is the main antidote. Instead of always comparing ourselves and, this person has a bigger house and a bigger car, actually being happy with the things that we have. And a lot of that has to start in the mind, when we become more aware of our thoughts. And that's why meditation and karma yoga are so great, because we become really present and become really aware of where are these thoughts arising from, the thoughts of lack and the thoughts of comparing. Is it really me who is thinking that, or has it been planted from outside? And the more that we can become aware of that, we can also transmute that and like, hey, actually, I don't need more. I already have all that I need.
Yeah. Is that a practice that you do every day or on a frequent basis?
Yeah, definitely.
Meditation in general, and then specifically abundance and gratitude and
Yes,
reflecting?
definitely.
In what form?
Usually my partner and I, like before we go to bed, we do a little practice. Like, what are you grateful for today? What were your highlights today? And like just focusing on the positive that we have experienced during our day. And I also do that a lot, like when I have thoughts of, I should charge more money. I should, like, I don't know, like for example, I drive a very old scooter. And then sometimes I catch myself like, maybe I should like start charging more so I can get a better scooter. But then like, where is that actually coming from? Like, and just coming there into these questions, like, is it me who wants that, or do I just want to look better? But does it actually make me better? Is it actually contributing to society? Is it contributing to the environment? And when the answers are no, then I know, I actually don't need. I am good as I am.
Yeah. Do you know what do you need as a person? Because also for me, I think this is part of it, is practicing this kind of questioning things that that are instincts.
Yeah.
And then say, okay, no, actually I don't really need it because my values lies elsewhere. But I think we really need to have, as individuals, our values very clear.
Yes, totally.
What are your values?
My values are living in truth and living in love and living in harmony. So I want to live a life that I know I'm contributing to those values, that I'm standing in my truth and I'm following that. I'm following my own inner truth. And that I'm like, I always see myself like as a warrior of love. Like I just want to make people be more in love with life and be more in love with themselves and be more in love with each other and be more in harmony with the world around and with ourselves.
Yes. I read also you talked about decolonizing yourself and your life.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? And practically, what is the mind shift that requires?
Yeah. So that's the story that I shared earlier about coming back to my roots, coming back to Bali. And I like to say that, the whole world has been colonized. Like Europe also has been colonized, like just much, much, much earlier, like over 1,000 years ago. Also our pagan roots have been colonized and it has been taken away from us, like our connection to nature and to the world around, because these indigenous wisdom and values, they're really universal. I'm writing a book right now that is about ancient wisdom across the world and finding like more of the Celtic wisdom that we have lost in Europe. And I find so many similarities of the Celts with the Balinese and with the Andean and like other parts of the world, the Native American. And so by that, I found that we have, as Europeans, also been colonized and lost this connection, lost the harmony. And for me, coming back to these roots has helped me to also decolonize myself as a Swiss. So not only as a Balinese and come back to my Balinese roots, but also coming back to my Swiss roots and to how our ancestors 3,000 years ago have lived, which was more in harmony with the world around them and with each other.
So decolonizing for you also means to take all the things that we have learned because of the culture that comes from colonization. Again, Swiss different from what happened in Bali in a way, and to try to unlearn this part and reconnect with what was there before the colonization.
Yes. And which is unity. We talked about that before, like the illusion of separation. So what colonialization has brought is this illusion that we are separate, that we need to conquer another culture, that we need to conquer land to be more successful and to be a bigger nation.
Yeah.
Like that's what the Romans have done, for example, you know?
We were the cause in the first place.
You've caused it.
Yeah, exactly. We caused one of the first colonizers, you know. Before the British, probably the worst. I mean, the worst, arguably the ones that colonized most places, as far as we know, if history is true.
Yeah, and that has brought with it, you know, this over putting too much focus on greed and on money, like making profit and on power, like just putting power and money over the well-being of other humans and of nature.
Yes, and you've been close to indigenous populations in South America, right? For example, and also Bali, and to some degree, like to locals and ancestral culture. What is an alternative to that, to the system of thinking that we always need more, we need to colonize, we need to get more, we need to get things bigger? Like, let's call it, for lack of a better term, a growth mentality.
Yeah.
Where the important thing is always to have more.
Yeah.
What could be an alternative way to live life?
I think a growth mindset, you know, in general is not bad. It's just, what do we want to grow? Like, for example, I also like strive for growth, but I strive for spiritual growth. And I always want to see how I can become a better person. But I think we have to shift from a growth that enriches the individual to a growth of how can I be of service? How can I be of better service to this world? So instead of extracting, like coming from capitalism and extraction towards contribution, like how can I contribute to society? And if every individual would think that way, you know, like how can I contribute to society? How can I contribute to nature and to create a sustainable world? We would live in a much different world.
Have you seen examples of, let's say, communities that do that in a good way?
I see it in the Balinese culture, like when you look at it, like when you just look at the Balinese village, like it is a system of contribution because of the making offerings, you know, the daily offerings that we do, the helping each other, helping out the community. I remember there's a Charlie Chaplin movie that he came to Bali in the 1940s and 1950s, and he created a very beautiful movie that I recommend watching. And he ended the movie with the words, Bali is truly paradise because it's the last place on earth that capitalism has not reached.
Yet. I mean, it was 8 years ago. Yeah. Yeah,
because it was a society of contribution. It was a society of, like a social society, you know? People exchange goods with each other. Like you had bananas growing in your backyard and you would exchange it with your neighbor who grew coconuts. And that's how it was before, like, like an economy of exchange and of a circular economy. Yeah.
What changed in the history of Bali? So this was 1940s, and presumably that lasted for many years before, but also like for some years after. Do you think it's the influx of the Dutch were much earlier than that time, right? So the Dutch colonization again was much earlier.
Yeah.
But then it's really the influx of expats that changed things.
Yeah, it's the tourism that has changed it. Yeah. Because then much has changed to accommodate to tourists, accommodate to Westerners. And with that also jobs have been created, you know, because before, like I said earlier, being Balinese is it's 100% job.
Yeah.
Like just doing the offerings and like the ceremonies and everything. But then, you know, the foreigners that came, they needed servers, they needed waitresses and people that cleaned their houses. So those jobs then got created, and drivers and what's all not. So everything changed from then.
Yeah, and then we are where we are right now.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. In terms of your own journey, what are other challenges that people might not see? When they look at you, they look at your Instagram, you are pretty happy, you look pretty happy and content with your life. You do a lot of work that is for the contribution to community and to your mission. also sharing about Balinese culture. You take part in, you're a musician, we're going to talk about that in a second, but you do a lot of social activities and people will see you and be, Purnama is like the happiest person I can ever think of. Yeah. What are challenges that might be not visible that you're facing?
I mean, I try to be transparent, and like lately I've been going like again through like some deep processes and difficult processes, and I've been wanting to post about that because I just want to show, not everything is how we see it on social media. We only post usually the highlights and the best moments on social media, the polished ones. What I've been also wanting to talk about more is about my ADHD. That for me, like, it's very hard to focus. It's very hard to like keep my thoughts like on one point. That's also why I need meditation and all of that to like, really be sane. And for me, the challenge at the moment is like, because I wear so many hats, I'm like 100% independent. I'm an independent musician. I don't work for anyone, which is great. It comes with a lot of freedom, but also, I have to be my own marketing and promoter, manager, my own financial advisor.
Everything.
And it's a lot. It's really a lot. And also, there's not many people that are so between the Balinese and the expat culture. So many people also come to me for advice. They come to me for questions, and sometimes it can be a lot. Like, I really find myself often very, very overwhelmed. Like with the ADHD on top of that, it's like,
it's a lot.
It's a lot. Like, I find many challenges also in, keeping track of all my messages, keeping track of my to-do list and everything. So, sometimes I feel like, do I really want to do this? Like, sometimes I just want to live a quiet life, like move to the jungle and
stop all of this.
Stop all of this.
Throw the phone.
Yeah, totally.
Throw the phone away.
But I know that this is my path and this is my dharma. Like, I'm supposed to be here and supposed to, speak on these things and be in the spotlight, even though it can become very overwhelming at times. And there again, finding the strength in source and from my ancestors, of knowing that I'm not alone, even though it seems sometimes like I have to do all of this stuff alone. But we always have community, people that I can go to and speak with. I have my partner that is very beautiful and very supportive, and ancestors that have my back.
Yeah, and you mentioned ADHD, and the meditation helps you.
Yeah.
What is a practical tool, exercise, or practice that you do on a frequent basis to help you with your ADHD? So to have more focus, to be a bit more calm in your mind.
Definitely my morning practice, like my morning yoga and journaling, like just keeping track of all the thoughts that are in my mind, writing down ideas as soon as I have them. But anything that is calming. And also on a regular basis, I try to unplug from society, like going to a darkness retreat or doing the moon dance or going into ceremonies that are specifically designed. Like, for example, I told you that I was in a ceremony 2 nights ago with an Indigenous elder, and that was just, I went in with this intention of like healing my mind and becoming more focused and more, sharp like an arrow, sharp like an eagle.
Yes. How does it feel to have ADHD? So what is happening in your head when? Can you describe it?
It's very chaotic. My head is a very chaotic place. Just like, sometimes it's hard to like go through with a task because I get distracted.
Yeah.
I lose things all the time. Like, I don't know how much money I had to like pay. Like, for example, the other day I was flying back from Sri Lanka to Bali and I forgot my passport at the hotel. It was 3 hours away. So I missed my flight and had to buy a new flight. And like that cost me $300, So it's definitely expensive having ADHD when you like lose stuff all the time and you have to replace it. And it can create a lot of frustration. Like, I know a lot of ADHD people get frustrated and like blame themselves. And I just try to be compassionate. Like, Instead of going to that and like, oh, why am I like this? And hating myself for those things, I try to have compassion and seeing the gifts also of my condition. Like, for example, because of ADHD, I wasn't able to do any jobs. Like, I wasn't able to do any things that I wasn't passionate about. Like, if I wasn't passionate about it, I couldn't focus. I couldn't concentrate. And for me, that was a great indicator of, and that brought me to being a musician. I think maybe I wouldn't have had the courage otherwise to be a full-time musician and ceremonialist, because this is really where I can be super focused. Because I'm so in my passion and so in my dharma. Yeah. So in that way, I really like give thanks to my ADHD.
It's so interesting you said this. And so experiencing ADHD forced you in a way, or pushed you to consider music as this can be my full-time occupation, because everything else, and music and ceremonies feels right.
Yes.
Everything else feels out of place, or like too hard for you to do, or too not good, doesn't feel like aligned.
Exactly. Yeah, I would just procrastinate. Yeah. Like, I had other jobs and I would like do everything I can, even though I knew I was, causing a lot of harm by not doing it, like risking losing the job and making someone feel like mad about me. But I wasn't just able to fulfill the task. And that's how I knew, like, okay, I just cannot do it. I'm not supposed to do this.
Yeah. Somehow the voice told you, the universe told you.
Yeah, and also my own inner knowing, like, okay, if it's this hard to do it and this thing comes to me very easily and everyone is happy, the people that I work for are happy, the people that I do these retreats and ceremonies and like musical circles for are happy. So I should just focus on this.
The path of least resistance.
Exactly, the path of least resistance.
Were you already practicing and playing music and singing at that time when you made the decision to make this your full-time?
Yeah, that was also a thing why it took me a while to get into music, because I wasn't a musician all my life. It also started when I went to South America. Like, for me there, like, everything just opened up.
So interesting.
Because I always believed as an artist, you cannot make money, you cannot survive. It's impossible, I grew up with this notion from the world around me. And so I never really put any thoughts or any efforts into that. And I never learned any music until I was 24, until I was in South America and had all the time in the world and met other musicians on my path.
Got it. So it felt maybe you had it in you. Definitely you had it in you.
Definitely.
Maybe the part of you thought, okay, maybe it's a cool thing to do and like music, but you never really practiced because you thought it's such a vague thing that I could never do that. Interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you met full-time musicians, or you met people who really make music, and then you were inspired by that. You thought, okay, that feels right for me.
Yes.
Yeah. And you are a songwriter, you sing, and you use multiple instruments.
Yeah.
How do you feel with music when you play or when you listen to music?
It's very healing. It's medicine. That's why I also say, music medicine. Because it's very ancient tools that our ancestors have used for way before. Music and songs were a way to tell stories and to tell legends. It was a way for us to come together. And it just got replaced through industrialization. We had less time, we worked more hours, and the fireplace got replaced by a TV. And and for me, it's also something, as I said in the beginning, bringing people back to the heart and back to the roots. I feel music also brings us back to the hearts and back to our roots.
Yes, I think it's a very important thing.
Yes, definitely.
It's also a moment for people to get together and to feel that they are the same, like they're at equal level. You have this sense of community and unity. It's one of the things that, with Flaminia, my co-founder and friend, we always think about how lucky we are for having been so passionate about music since we were very young. Because that has led us to places that made us feel more connected than anything else to other people. So it's a beautiful thing. And with your art, so I've seen you have Bandcamp, you produce music, you release music. How do you see that as part of your broader mission, which is that of creating, informing people about Balinese culture and making people connect?
At the moment I am I'm going to start to work on an EP with Balinese songs. Because, for example, I find that we don't have Balinese medicine songs. And I'm a part of a lot of these, I have many musical friends in Ubud, in Bali, but we don't sing any Indonesian songs. All the songs that we sing are Spanish or Sanskrit. I mean, Sanskrit is part of the Balinese culture, but it's not really the Balinese culture. Like, it came here also.
Yeah.
And it's still the Gayatri Mantra is very close to the Balinese culture. But still, it's not Balinese words. It's not words that we use in Bali every day. So I wrote Balinese medicine songs that are in Indonesian and in Balinese. And the next project that I have is recording these and releasing them because I also feel that it can bring people closer to Bali. When we sing these songs, we can connect more with the people here. And Balinese people, they're so happy when you speak Balinese. When you say a word in Bali, in Balinese, they're immediately wow. In their joy. And I imagine if we all would sing Balinese medicine songs, Indonesian medicine songs, we would feel closer to the society here, and also the Balinese people would feel closer to us and more encouraged to come to the kirtans, come to music circles.
The kirtans is ceremony or?
Kirtan is singing and chanting the names of the divine. Usually it's someone leading the songs on a harmonium or a guitar. And then it's mantras. It's mostly Sanskrit mantras that are from India. And, even though that's as I said earlier, it's very close to the Balinese culture because we also have the same gods. We also pray to Ganesha here in Bali and to Shiva and to Vishnu. But then still I feel if we can bring it to the next level by really chanting songs that are in Balinese. And also an easy way to learn a foreign language is through songs, right? That's why so many people learn Spanish, because they sing Spanish songs and then they already know, cura means healing.
Yeah. And the chorus, everybody sings the chorus.
Exactly. Yeah.
Even if they don't know the words, they
exactly.
have an impression that they're singing the word.
And that's why also I want to encourage people to learn more Indonesian and Balinese through these songs.
That's super interesting. You working actively on this EP or album? Or?
Not yet, but soon.
Yeah.
It's also something that ADHD is sometimes part of this resistance. And I find that myself, I wrote so many songs and going to the studio and recording a song for me is a bit out of my comfort zone. But yeah. By saying this here in the podcast also, it's it's happening.
It's happening.
It's going
It's
on.
a promise.
Yes, it's a promise.
I'm looking forward to hearing that.
Yeah.
And is there a song or a piece of music that helps you you mentioned ADHD again here, that helps you brings back to groundedness and to your present moment?
Yeah, definitely mantras. Mantras in Sanskrit and also modern day affirmations. Depending on the situation, a specific mantra or a specific affirmation usually helps me to bring back. For example, saying I have everything I need, I don't need to compare myself. I had this affirmation that I wrote that is no competition, no need to prove. It's only between God and me. And I would just sing it again and again. Especially moments that I feel I am comparing myself to other peers and thinking that they're more advanced and whatever. And then just coming back to that, there is no competition. I don't need to prove myself to anyone. It's just a thing between me and God and no one else.
You would repeat it musically. So you would sing it to yourself in your head or out loud?
I like singing out loud.
Yeah.
I find it very healing. And that's also why I offer a lot of voice activation. I offer one-on-one sessions to people and also group sessions that I help people to liberate their voice, because I had myself the same notion that I didn't like my voice, and I thought that I couldn't sing, but singing is just something so inherently natural. It's like, you know, birds don't think about how they sing, they just sing. And I think us as humans, it's the same. Like, as long as we have a voice, we can sing. And I encourage people to, sing out loud and to use their voice, because it's very healing when we sing out loud. It's like the vibrations that affect our whole body and our whole self.
Yeah. Would you sing it? Just
I could try. I haven't warmed up my voice this morning, so but yeah, so it's like this. No competition, no need to prove. It's only between God and me. No competition, no need to prove. It's only between God and me. So like that.
Very beautiful.
Thank you.
I think I also close my eyes, and then it makes me feel a bit more grounded, because I was focusing on your voice, and it's beautiful. I think the mantra, just repeating this over and over, it helps you to be more grounded. Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Thank you for asking me to share it.
Super beautiful. Purnama, and few last questions before we wrap up. You mentioned already what drives your life. You mentioned truth, love, and community, and connecting with other people. What is something that you are particularly excited about that will make you feel you have achieved your purpose in the next 6 to 12 months?
Definitely recording those songs, as I mentioned, releasing the albums that I started, like there's one album I started to work on 3 years ago, and finishing that, because there is songs on there that I feel that they could really help some individuals, and
yeah, good luck with the process, and have fun most of all. Looking forward to seeing it taking place in the world.
Thanks a lot.
And if you, let's imagine you are carrying with yourself a hypothetical flag. It's above your head, it just follows you wherever you are, but everybody sees wherever you go. What would the flag say, or what would that show in terms of symbol?
It will probably be red.
Of course, yes.
The color of the rose, and of the heart. Like usually when we imagine a heart, it's red. And probably it would have like a heart on it, and probably a rose, because I'm all about that, like coming back to the heart, bringing people back to their hearts, and making decisions from our heart instead of from our mind, because our mind likes to tell us things that are influenced by the outside world and by other people, but in our heart we always know the truth.
Root chakra.
Exactly.
Who we are.
Yes.
The base. Thank you. Do you have any question that you would like to ask us? I mean, we don't know each other so much, you don't know much about the project, but first of all, thank you for trusting us and coming here and doing this. Really appreciate it, and I was personally looking forward to this conversation. Would you have any question for us, for me, Flaminia, and Yashar, for what we're doing here in Question Everything?
I know how much work it is, to put together an episode like this, all the cutting and the preparations before. What drives you to that? Like to put your energy into creating these pieces of art, you could say.
Thank you. There's probably two things. One is an internal thing that we felt across the three of us. We're very close friends. Like Famina's arguably my best friend, and then Yashar, one of my other best friends. And we love having conversations, and we always find it inspiring when we have deep conversations amongst ourselves and with our close friends and with people that we think are great. And the other thing was that we all the three of us struggled and still question what is a good way to live life? What is a fulfilling way to live life? And what are the alternatives to the model that you alluded to before, which is you just get to a job that is as secure as possible, where you maximize for money and security. And we live our lives in a different way already, but we always are curious about what are other ways that people are who might have a different background, might have a different walk of life. What do they go through? Are they happier? Do they find satisfaction in other things? Do they have something that is completely different from us? So this is before the podcast, and we always lived about and talked about these things, and we thought about wouldn't it be amazing to actually interview other people and get to spend time with them, to ask them about these questions, and to show the world, very importantly, to show the world that maybe there is not one way to do things to be happy. There is multiple ways, and then maybe you should trust yourself to take that trip to South America.
Yeah.
To do that ceremony, to reconnect with yourself, to leave the job or to stay in the job. Maybe you're super happy being an accountant, and everybody around you is telling you should be an entrepreneur. Maybe that's actually bullshit for you. And we wanted to have this kind of representation of as many walks of life as possible, of people who are doing something that we feel from that side, or when we know the person, they are connected to their true essence. They're going through their path and finding satisfaction in the way they live life. Mm-hmm. So that's why what pushed us. I think we just started. We are starting.
Yeah.
And it feels really amazing. Mm-hmm. I'm so happy.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you for asking.
You did an amazing job.
Thank you.
This conversation felt really natural and great and really good questions. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I like the way how you hold everything.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I think it's because we really like it. I enjoy this is it. There is a lot of, as you say, there is a lot of work that goes into that. A lot of fears and doubts and things to solve, practically things you need to figure out. But I think when you enjoy, and you mentioned that before, when you feel you are in the place where you should be, you just cannot not do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
You can ignore it, but at some point you wake up and you're thinking about something, you gotta do it. Yeah.
Yeah, very true.
And so one last question is, what is a question we should ask the next guest? You happen to know where she is.
That's a good question. You could ask Eva how does she see herself in 20 years, where she would be. Yeah, I would be interested to hear that.
Love it. I'm delivering a question from our previous guest, which is going through what you went through and looking back, is there anything you would do differently to look after yourself a bit better?
That's a good question. I mean, it's what we said earlier, that unfortunate or unfortunate, let's wait and see. I don't know, if there's anything that I would change. Of course, there's always this, I should have done this different and that different. But maybe if there's one thing, is when I moved back to Bali and I was living in my mother's house and she has a guest house, I think I would have approached that differently, because I was always mad at my mom for not working together more with me and doing things as one in that guest house. But then I also realized that I also wasn't working together with her. And I think it's just that, communicate better with the people around me. Making more decisions together and proposing something first before doing it. So it's just that, being a better communicator and,
With your close people.
Yes, exactly.
And then again, this will inform your next interactions with your mother and with the other people.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
Purnama, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Really
Thank you so
cool.
much. Also, thanks for having me here.
Pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to speak with you.
Likewise.
And looking forward to see the results.
Yes, for sure. And to seeing also your album when it comes out.
Thank you.
Thanks
a lot.